Doctors, nurses, EMTs, etc. What's the most shocking thing you've seen after thinking nothing could surprise me anymore? Oh, this guy kept coming to my unit because he was aspirating on something. He had a tracheostomy and a feeding tube in his stomach, so we were confused why he was being admitted every few weeks for aspiration if he wasn't consuming food orally. We eventually learned that his sister wife, Yes, had been pouring whiskey down his trach. To top it off, he groped or tried to grope every female nurse and tech that had him. A patient's insurance company refused to pay for a PET scan. When the patient said they would pay for their own PET scan out of pocket, the insurance company said they would refuse to pay for any treatment, testing, or further workup based on evidence from the PET scan, if she paid for it herself. It was the most petty, bullshit, evil thing I've seen insurance do in a long time, and I see them do petty bullshit every day. Edit, it was Martin's Point Insurance. I think I've mentioned this one in the past. Elderly guy came in the middle of winter, legs were frozen to mid-thigh, and I mean truly, ice block frozen. At the same time, he had a bunch of serious burns all over his torso. His gas had been cut off in the middle of winter, technically illegal if the gas company has documentation of an elderly or handicapped person in the home. He had been trying to keep warm with an incandescent light bulb. He kept falling asleep, and the bulb would fall on him, walking him up and causing small, fairly deep burns. He had immediate lower extremity amputations, rewarming, and went to the burn unit. He ended up dying within a few days. The level of suffering he must have gone through is immense. To this day, it is one of the saddest, most preventable deaths I've ever seen. 20-year medic, it's actually really hard to say what's the most shocking, but I once had a guy on hallucinogens completely remove all the tissue from his left forearm, took it clear down to the radius and ulna. Dude was just chilling like everything was normal. It was crazy and definitely goes on the list. Psychiatrist here. Had a 6-year-old child with behavioral problems have a breakthrough with his therapist that he feels unloved and needs more affection from his mom. The very next day, in his appointment with me, I tell his mother this. He looks at her, and she replies with, "Okay," and goes back to playing on her phone. As a father, that broke my heart into a million little pieces. I've seen murderers, psychopaths, even interviewed serial killers and seen the dregs of humanity. But a mother ignoring her child's cry for affection in front of me? This is how we create monsters. There was a taxi driver with gangrene in the foot. You could see through his foot between the metatarsals, and he refused amputation because he needed whatever was left to drive his taxi. Ex-EMT here, I always thought babies took time to be born. Well, that's not always the case. I was helping a woman who wasn't English speaking, she was very pregnant, and we kept trying to tell her to calm down, to breathe, but she was just screaming, and in a blink a baby popped out into her sweatpants. We cut off her blue sweatpants and there was a baby girl, just like that. It just popped out.